Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here. Alright everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin.
I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. It's February, so that means all this month we'll be celebrating the real season of love. The Real Season of Love is a celebration of romantic comedies and Valentine's Day must-watches. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the finale to the Bridget Jones series, Bridget Jones Baby. 40-something and single again, Bridget decides to focus on her job and surround herself with friends. In a twist, she finds herself pregnant, but with one hitch, she can only be 50% sure of the identity of her baby's father. You made it to the end, John. I'm proud of you. You made it to the end of the series. I didn't expect that from you.
I barely expected this from me, dude.
We watched Edge of Reason, was our last video with Bridget Jones, and that kind of left a bad taste in our mouths. I think overall we were pretty unsatisfied with that film, to say the least. Now, this sequel, in hindsight here, it's 10 years after the fact. So we had Edge of Reason. Edge of Reason hurt the series pretty bad, so there was a very long lull in the films. This came out 10 years later. I think it surprised a lot of people. I would say it even surprised me when I heard they were making a sequel. I'm like, wow, I thought that series was kind of done at that point. It came out to lukewarm reception, I would say. Now, did you have any expectation going into this film after Edge of Reason?
No, I had zero expectation. Especially just the title kind of like threw me off.
It seems kind of silly, right? It seems like just one of those stupid, typical rom-coms with just like, oh no, now she's pregnant kind of storyline.
I think that's a positive result. I'll just make sure.
Oh, don't shake it. You'll hurt the baby.
The baby's not in a stick, Bridget. I think this is when you're meant to jump for joy.
Oh my God. Oh my God, you're pregnant. I'm pregnant.
You're pregnant.
I'm pregnant.
You're going to have a baby.
I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to have a baby.
And to some degree, I think it is, but I would say this is definitely an upgrade from Edge of Reason. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I'll go a slight upgrade. This reminded me more of like a behind-the-scenes look at like a Jerry Springer show.
Oh my God. I mean, I guess I could see your stance on that a little bit. Now, let's talk about some of the highlights of this film. So Bridget Jones is back. She's obviously older. I do like how they stopped making her gain weight for these movies. Renee Zellweger, I mean, I know what she was trying to do. She was trying to portray the typical looking girl. I don't think she needed to keep putting on pounds, though. I think they kind of just leveled out with that, which I think was a good choice.
And at least I was finally down to my perfect weight.
Buongiorno, Miss Bridget. Molto bella oggi, eh?
There was life in the old dog yet. Hadn't exactly been put out to grass. Ding dong.
Real reason I think this movie works in a lot of cases, or it continues to work to some degree, I would argue, is the cast. Renee Zellweger is great, back again as Bridget Jones. She really carries this movie. Older, more wise Bridget Jones, where she's getting into some silly situations like she was, but not as outlandish or as crazy this time around.
Well, the signs are that Ngoshi's own generals did take him out in a rather
Can't talk.
How is Daniel's memorial?
It's just sad. I can't believe he's gone, actually.
Well, it's just sad. I can't believe he's gone, actually.
I don't think there was any particular sadness at his passing. His persecution of the Ubuntu people amounted to genocide. That is well documented.
I know he had his faults.
Well, I know he had his faults.
He could be a massive arsehole.
He could be a massive arsehole.
But I miss him. We all do.
I miss him. We all do.
Well, he was certainly...
Which I think was a good choice. I think they really decided to ground this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then you have Colin Firth returning once again, being himself. We've talked about his character a lot. Ever the gentleman, but ever the unable to expose any kind of emotion for himself.
I am pregnant.
Right. Well, congratulations. How can I help?
I'm 3 months pregnant.
during the christening. Would you excuse me for just a moment? I think that this is quite possibly the most wonderful piece of information I've ever received in my entire life.
Oh. Okay.
But he still plays that role down to a T. There is a character missing from this movie. Now, what did you think of the elimination of Hugh Grant from this film? I thought that was kind of funny.
I thought it was interesting.
Just can't believe he's gone, really.
I thought he was going to show up at some point, and then when we go to at the beginning of the movie, they have a funeral she has to attend, and sure enough, it's for Hugh Grant died in a plane crash, and you see they have the little memorial, and they have all the women who were there.
His death seems to have hit the Eastern European teenage modeling community particularly hard.
One of the best scenes, I think, too, is like they're giving their speeches about Hugh Grant and how much they loved him, how much they miss him, and his mother's there, and she like looks to Bridget to give a speech, and Bridget gives her little speech.
Daniel was a man who touched many of us here today, including me. Oh dear. This is when Daniel would say, "Shut up, Jones," and he would be right, because all I really need to say is, dear Daniel, I will miss you terribly. We all will.
And you start to notice like a pattern, and Bridget notices it too, where all the girls are giving the same kind of speech about him, like what they did on their first date. It was something like having wine and having a picnic, and it was...
I first met Daniel in Moscow.
He once took me rowing on the Serpentine and quoted Keats by heart.
He could quote Keats by heart.
Where be ye going, you Devon maid? And what
Where
have
be
you
ye
there
going,
in the basket?
you Devon maid? And what have you there in the basket? You tight little fairy, just fresh from the dairy. Will you give me some cream if I ask it?
It was all the same, and all the other girls start looking at each other like, wait, he did that with me, you know, what the hell? I thought that was funny. I mean, I think it was time to write off that character. He kind of overstayed his welcome in Edge of Reason. I think they kind of did everything they could with the feud between him and Colin Firth at this point. At the end of the movie, post-credits, though, there is a scene that shows that he might still be alive, which was a funny little stinger at the end of this movie. A newspaper shows a man found alive after a plane crash, and it's a picture of him. Good for Hugh Grant. You know, I don't know why he wasn't in this movie. Could be choice, could be, you know, the script. I'm not really sure. I didn't go too much into it, but again, maybe smart to move on from him. So we have a lot of the side characters return. Bridget's mom, Bridget's dad return. Still not my favorite plot of the movie, and again, it continues to be that plot where the mother is running for like a Senate seat or something like that, some kind of government position. I didn't really care for that. I thought that was kind of shoehorned. And
Oh, you've inspired me.
Still so long.
You were quite right, as it turns out. This place is teeming with single mothers, single fathers, bisexuals, surrogates, and they're all lovely and so normal. Do you know, I've even got 2 homosexuals on the team. No, thank you. Who knew? Everybody.
Whatever, they're not my favorite characters anyway in the film. They're funny, but again, not my favorite characters. Bridget's friends return, which I thought was kind of nice too. We got to see everyone more older. You know, they used to be those like outlandish kind of characters. Now they're all like grounded in reality. They have kids, they have families.
6-hour puppet show.
Hello.
So tell me, were they little puppets or?
Very life-sized puppets.
And did he put his puppet in your mouth?
God, I feel like my days of puppet shows are behind me.
Not the same characters as they were before, which I thought that was funny too. It's nice to see everyone aged. Like the movie decided And a good turn would be to age everything. So everyone's kind of grown up with the series. And I think that was a good choice. Again, the world just feels naturally aged. And now we can't put Bridget in that typical scenario again where she's still trying to find love, even though they're kind of doing that. But I think at the same time, they're more comfortable having Bridget just be herself.
You're a cougar. You are a MILF.
I'm not a MILF. I'm not even a mum. I'm a spinster. I'm a spilf.
And be like confident with herself being single. There's a little bit of a mixed message there, I think, when we get to it. But overall, again, the aging, I think, is just a really good choice. Now, what did you think of the pregnancy angle? Now, she is older at this point. She's 42 years old. Is that what I want to say? I think she's around that age, and she's getting pregnant. I didn't expect that angle. I thought that was kind of interesting to go that with a quote-unquote geriatric pregnancy, as they would call it.
Geriatric? That's outrageous.
Indeed.
Huh. Unless you can sign on for your child support and pension at the same time.
That's hilarious.
I thought that was an interesting choice. Now, what did you think? Did you like that spin on the story, or were you not for it?
I guess it was okay. I feel like they started grasping at straws, so this is just what they took out of the hat.
I mean, I like it. I think it worked in some regard because we got to see a different side of Bridget where she has a new issue to deal with, where it's not just her problems. Now it's becoming her and her future child's problems, whatever decision she's going to make.
I'm going to be the best mother in the world. I'm going to try not to leave you in a shop or put you in the washing machine like that woman in the newspaper with her cat. Look, I know I made you a promise I would get things sorted before you got here. Well, the truth is, I haven't. But you and me can do this together. Because knights in shining armor don't exist anymore.
It's kind of a double-edged sword. These are things I do and I don't like. We introduced a new character. We introduced Jack, who's played by Patrick Dempsey from Grey's Anatomy, everyone's favorite show, especially John over here. I'm sure he was a huge Grey's Anatomy fan.
Oh, yeah.
We introduced Jack, who I don't really like Jack. I don't really like his character. I thought he was just kind of shoehorned in. He's a millionaire, love doctor, guru.
Bridget, I found him. He's the dating website guru.
See, you have to trust the science. Algorithms don't lie.
You only slept with a fucking billionaire!
I don't know. I didn't feel his character. I feel like Patrick Dempsey was kind of just phoning it in throughout this whole movie. I would argue I almost feel like he didn't want to be there at times.
I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about.
The only scene that he had that really had any note, but again, it didn't go anywhere because his character doesn't really evolve, is when he sees Bridget and he's talking about what they would have done if they had a first date.
I would have taken you to Ottolenghi.
Oh.
You would have had the grilled salmon and pine nut salsa. Unbelievable.
Oh.
And healthy.
Like, he brings her flowers and he's like, oh, if we had a fight, I would have tried to make up giving you this. And
What are those for?
To apologize. We had our first fight. I was not flirting with that waitress. She means nothing to me.
that was a nice little scene, but again, it doesn't go anywhere because his character never really revolves around being just an antagonist to Mr. Darcy. That's really all he is. He's just an obstacle.
But despite, or perhaps owing to the bewildering litany of catastrophes I've witnessed over the last 40 years, I feel I've come to know Bridget rather well, and I've spent those years caring for her very deeply. And that may defy automated reasoning, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Nothing you can do about it. Maybe you should try and stay around a little, instead of saving the world by cell phone. I make her happy, Mark.
And I suppose your algorithm tells you you're destined to be together, does it?
Actually, it does. The fact that you've been trying and failing for the past 10 years tells me you are not. No. I don't want to fight with you.
This movie has a weird plot, right? So at the beginning of the movie, we start off with Bridget. She's confident being single, right? She's in her 40s now. She broke up with Mr. Darcy, which is a whole nother issue we will talk about. They're not together anymore. It didn't work out. So now she's, feeling powerful being single. She goes to a concert. Again, kind of random, and we get into a little situation with Ed Sheeran, he's just British, I guess, and famous, so we needed somebody in there for this movie.
So you don't want me in the photo at all?
Oh, God, you can lose the attitude, babes. Is it really that difficult? God, is there any old riffraff backstage nowadays?
I don't know. I thought she was kind of cute.
Good on you, movie. Good on you. Bridget ends up sleeping with Patrick Dempsey, and then after that, she comes home and she goes to a christening, and Mr. Darcy's there, and he moved on pretty fast. He got remarried, but now he's separated, and Bridget and him hook up. After that, soon after, she's pregnant, and she doesn't know who the father is, right? It becomes this issue of who's the father. It's a 50-50 chance.
So which of the two would you go for?
Couldn't say. They're both equally likely. It could have been after the events because, as you know, sperm can live for several days after ejaculation.
Couldn't you just have a guess for me?
No.
What about the first scan? Would that show when conception took place?
No. Ring this number to fix a date, and do bring along the father if you can work out which one he is.
Once again, they want to get to the ending of having Bridget and Mr. Darcy come together, but I feel like we've already told that so many times. Like, why are we backtreading on this plot all over again?
Yeah, this is the third time that they have to get back together.
I guess I should get into one of my main issues with this is, why are they separated again? You can make the argument, I talked a little bit about it in the last video, is the second movie almost doesn't need to exist. And it's kind of better if it doesn't, because then you're not kind of rehashing the same storyline all over again. Because I felt like the second movie was really about them overcoming, you know, their issues with their life choices and style and whatnot, and them ultimately coming together. And then you find out in this movie that, well, he couldn't make time for her, so too bad, we broke up again, and that was kind of it, and we were over.
We could both come up with 100 reasons why we didn't make it. But in the end, I always felt that you were never there, and I was mostly alone.
What was the point of the last movie? There was literally no point to anything that happened. You didn't learn anything after all that? If I'm going to recommend this to anyone right away, I'm going to recommend watch number 1, skip number 2, and then watch number 3. Because number 3 is probably the logical sequel that should have happened if you were to make anything, because number 2 really has no place. That's a conversation against number 2 that doesn't have much inflection on this movie. We do the same song and dance, and it gets old. They have such great chemistry, which I think works to a degree, but at the same time, it's the same song and dance. You know, they can't get on the same page together. Then at the end, you know, they finally realize, oh, we're made for each other. And there's a romantic scene. I think at the end, one of the most romantic scenes in the movie is she's giving birth to the child, and Mr. Darcy's there. And, you know, he's holding her hand. And he's like, I'll be here for you. I'll be here. He says something similar along to his lines of, I love you just the way you are.
What if it's not yours?
Then I'll love him anyway. Just as I love you. Just the way you were, the way you are, the way you always will be.
Like he did in the original, so that kind of came full circle. And it's nice. It's nice to see them together. But at the same time, logic just wasn't here for this movie in some regard. Another thing I think that annoys me with this movie, and I don't know, it could be just because we're in that crowd, is this movie really dogs on young people a lot. And that joke gets tiresome after a while, right? It's like, oh, I don't understand the young people's world. Oh, I don't get what's going on. Oh, that's moving so fast. Internet,
Must prove to fascist boss that I may be single mother, but am willing to roll with the ironic bearded hipsters.
Anybody at all? Do you need the loo, Bridget? No, I want to volunteer.
Hashtag let's do this.
That's an old joke, right? We're kind of past that. Bridget gets a new boss, and we can all relate to that, where we get a new boss and we're going in a different direction, especially as we get older.
9 a.m. We should all start an hour early from now on. You think she saw that?
Quite possibly not.
I get what they're going for with that, but at the same time, like, low-hanging fruit, guys. Do a little better. Ultimately, some of the jokes just fall flat. Some of the more, like, embarrassing moments just really didn't work for me. One example is the whole technology thing where they're trying to talk about the instant news angle that they're having with the movie, where Bridget's giving a presentation and we're giving live news around the world, and some guys start mooning the camera. And
News sucks balls!
Jesus. Oh dear. Well, let's put that news story firmly behind us.
Technical glitch.
Then inappropriate things come up, like she was searching on her phone. Just kind of falls flat. There's a lot of jokes in there that just fall flat for me.
At least I look fucking amazing.
Another thing is, the movie's just too long. I think it outstays its welcome, for sure. Especially I feel like they're just artificially inflating the length at times, where she's getting into a conflict with somebody or an argument. especially towards the latter end of the movie, where I think the scene when we finally get to her being rushed to the delivery room, I think is okay. Like, that's fine.
Good God, Bridget, you're immense.
I can't help it.
I think my lungs collapsed, but this is not about me.
But like the in-between time, with the arguments between her, Darcy, and Jack, they don't do much for me, unfortunately.
You must be the surrogate? Exactly, yes. Just helping this wonderful couple make their dream come true.
See, Mark is very nervous about all this. It's all new to you, isn't it, lamb chop?
So I think we're at that point where we're going to give our final scores. I'm going to give Bridget Jones's Baby a C+.
Hello?
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine.
So am I. Well, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Glass of wine.
Whiskey, please.
Big glass.
Double.
It's a fine for what it is. I think it's a fun story. For fans of the series, I think this is a good ending of events. I don't think we need any more of these movies. I think we're good. You know, I think we hit our quota. Three was the lucky number. It kind of washed away Edge of Reason for me. So I think it was a fine ending. I do like these characters, as even though they do make some poor logic choices throughout these films, especially this one at times. Colin Firth and Renee Zellweger just really bring it. My ultimate recommendation for you: watch the first one, skip the second one, hit up the third one. I think you'll have a good time. John, where do you stand with this film?
I give this film a D.
You can do this. Okay, just think away the pain.
Oh, motherfucker.
Just think away the pain.
Not as bad as the last one, but still too long. Same story. A couple added things here and there. Added a worse character. Got rid of a better character. Overall, I just thought it was like below average.
I can see what you're saying. My only thing I would give it is at least it tried something a little bit different, right? It didn't give us pretty much Edge of Reason on steroids, or Edge of Reason was Bridget Jones's Diary on steroids. This one tried to do something a little different. It tried to tell a little older, more mature story with Bridget. It was fine. You want to watch something with your wife, guys out there? This is a good series. Just watch 1 and 3. You'll have a good time. John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us over on YouTube at TheReelMovieGuys over on YouTube. Go over there, like this if you enjoyed this reviews. Subscribe to our channel. Go watch our other reviews of the other Bridget Joneses and get our full take on what we thought of those. You can also find us over on Twitter at TheReelMovieGuy on Twitter, and also at TheReelMovieGuy on Instagram. Follow us over there. You can also listen to us on many podcasting platforms, such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure, we are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you are right now, hey, greatly appreciate it. Just search out Real Movie Guys. We should pop right up. Thank you all again so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy over there, he's John. We are your Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. And don't forget, love is in the air as the real season of love continues. We'll catch you next time. See ya!